Let's kick things off with President Trump's meeting with the president of South Africa today. And because it's Donald Trump, things got weird.
Death, 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 horrible death, death, I don't know.
Remember this from just a few days ago? Trump showed this image at the White House during a meeting with the South African president, claiming it was dead white farmers in South Africa.
These are all white farmers that are being buried.
But according to Reuters, this image is actually from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it was filmed by a Reuters video journalist. Reuters fact-check team said it actually showed humanitarian workers lifting body bags in Goma following a deadly assault by the rebel group M23. It's a screen grab from a video published by Reuters in February. Trump held up a blog post that wrote about that conflict in Eastern DRC, as well as racial tensions in South Africa, from American Thinker. That's a conservative online magazine. The managing editor at American Thinker told him that President Trump had misidentified the image. The White House has not responded to CNN's request for comment. Also in the meeting, Trump played a video which he said showed evidence of genocide of white farmers in South Africa, a false right-wing conspiracy theory. Ramaphosa came to the U.S. to reset relations after Trump claimed white South Africans were being persecuted, which Ramaphosa denies.
What a host! Death, death. Hey, do you want a Diet Coke? Yeah. Death, horrible death. That's... Now, the reason Trump turned this White House event into a murder podcast is that Trump is convinced that there is a white genocide going on in South Africa, which of course means there is no white genocide happening in South Africa. It's not even mathematically possible. I mean, you'll never run out of white South Africans when one of them is making 5,000 kids a week. But still, Trump thinks there is one, and you know he cares about it because he said white genocide. It's like someone told him, hey, it's not just a genocide, it's a white genocide, you know, the bad kind. And Trump's like, oh shit, get him in.
Hello and what's up, my good and beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. Now, I hope you're doing good from wherever you're watching me from. And if you're coming across this channel for the first time, welcome to the channel as well. So I want us to just discuss a little bit on what really transpired between these two presidents, Donald Trump and Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. So most people have come out to really term and describe this press conference as a blatant show of disrespect, misinformation, and lies, especially from President Donald Trump. Well, I was watching this press conference, the videos rather. What really quickly came to mind is it reminded me of what's one American scholar and activist, Shahid Bolson, had once said about President Donald Trump. That was shortly after that press conference between Donald Trump and another president, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. And this is actually what Shahid Bolson had said after, concerning that.
I mean, if you want me to comment on the train wreck of that press conference between Trump and Vance and Zelensky, what is there to say? Really, what is there to say? I mean, this is where it's appropriate to bring up the fact that Trump was a reality TV star. You know, people mention that all the time about Trump, dismissively, as if that's the only thing that Trump ever has been, which is dishonest. But in this case, it's right, because that was a reality TV catfight. And it makes me look at how well King Abdullah actually controlled himself in his press conference with Trump. You know, that press conference that everyone criticized him for. But he didn't allow himself to be provoked into the indignity of a shouting match, which you have to know at this point that Trump is always loaded up for that. He's always loaded up for that. He's ready to do it. So I think world leaders need to understand that any joint press conference with Donald Trump is a trap, because he absolutely is shamelessly ready to play for the cameras at any time. And this, again, is just another way of alienating the rest of the world from the U.S. and isolating America from the world stage. If your relationship as a country, if your relationship with the U.S. is sensitive in any way, Why the worst thing that you could ever do is to agree to appear in a joint press conference with Donald Trump. And didn't I tell you not to react to everything that Trump says? If you react to everything he says, you're going to have a nervous breakdown. You can't keep up. The man is a human flash grenade. The international OCGFC are going for broke. They're going for broke. It's like a shock and awe campaign against the post-World War II world order. Scorched earth. He's the disorienter in chief. A lot of people wanted me to respond to that obscene video that Trump shared on his social media platform, the AI-generated video that's supposed to show his vision of Gaza. Even though I've already said multiple times that you should never take anything that man says literally. Never take anything literally.
Okay, so I took my sweet time to really analyze this media conference between Donald Trump and the president of South Africa, because we all know that there's been some significant tensions between these two countries, especially after Trump's allegations of there being a white genocide, or mistreatment of white farmers in the country of South Africa. And what Shahid Bolton is saying right there is all other world leaders must be very careful of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump knows how to play for the camera, and his tactic is to try and, by whichever the means, to throw the other party right under the bus. I mean, to make fun of you, to make you look like you're a fool in that conversation. He is not objective. He is trying to, show superiority or something. And what really comes out clear here is the amount of effort it takes to preserve the myth and the narrative of white supremacy. Now, I really rewatched these videos, and I was trying to analyze and everything these people, what was really being, implied here. And I made a few points that I would love us to just quickly go over. But before doing that, I would want us to watch this compilation of short videos, and then we can have a small analysis right at the end.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South African occupy land. That's who we are. Whatever you want to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Yes, Honorable Member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Namaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, pa.
The man of DJ in PE is a white man. So these people...
Death, death, death.
President Trump has made several false claims about violence against white farmers in South Africa in a tense meeting with the country's president. He played this video on a big screen in the Oval Office, saying it showed burial sites for over 1,000 white farmers. But it doesn't show burial sites at all. The crosses, in fact, were part of a protest in 2020 against the murder of 2 white farmers who were shot dead on their farm. Trump also held up a series of articles which he said were evidence of killings. He pointed to this blog post and said it showed white farmers being buried. But the image isn't from South Africa. It's actually from a report about women being buried in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Trump has repeatedly made a discredited claim that there's genocide of white farmers in South Africa. The country has one of the highest murder rates in the world. There were more than 26,000 murders last year, according to police figures. 44 were of people within the farming community, and 8 of those were of farmers. The figures aren't broken down by race, but they clearly don't show a genocide of white farmers as Trump claims. Earlier this year, a South African judge dismissed the idea of genocide in the country as clearly imagined.
I mean,
You're saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
no, it's not true that there is a genocide against white
Okay,
farmers.
whatever you call it, have white farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many
Have
white
violence been
Hold on,
committed
wait.
against
How
white
many
farmers?
white farmers? Hold on a second. How many white farmers have been murdered in
I don't
South
know,
Africa?
several. I mean, they asked.
No, how many? How many?
I don't know, several.
I know why you don't know. Because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
I mean,
How
I
many
know this.
black-
I wouldn't
how
trust the
many
South
black
African government to tell me. I know that.
How many black farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
Look, you guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No, I'm not.
After we
it's-
left 20 million people in
haven't
the
even
country.
brought
I don't know why you're so
Haven't even
triggered
brought
over
up the people, the white people that Trump picked out because they were white and told them they could come to the country.
How much racial killing are you going to condone?
There are 19,000 murders in South Africa. 36 were on farms. 7 of the farmers were victims. Okay, this is according to the South African police.
And you think the South African government is a
The other
credible source?
29, hold on a second, the 29 victims who were included in the farm killings were farm employees who tend to be black. So the vast majority of people killed on farms in South Africa are black. Where is the concern about them?
The concern is that there are white farmers who have had violence committed against them, and they're being threatened. They're being threatened every single day. There's 59 people,
hold on a second.
and you're triggered about 59 people, and I don't know why.
I haven't mentioned anything about 59
to
people.
substantiate
Why-
white
Why are
farmers
you
being
only
targeted.
concerned about white people?
I'm only.
Is there a white genocide in South Africa?
No, there's no sign of it, never has been. In fact, whites are economically the strongest group. They benefited from democracy more than anybody else. 64% of all boardrooms in South Africa are still white. The average income of white South Africans are vastly higher than black South Africans. No. They have better schools, they have better education, they have private health care. This is the land of milk and honey if you're white.
Has any land been expropriated in South Africa without compensation since the first all-race election in this country?
I'm not aware of anyone. Not a single farm that I'm aware of was expropriated without compensation since 1994.
So how do we interpret President Trump's executive order?
It is possible that South Africa has offended the United States with his policy on the Palestinians, and it could be that with his policy on Russia, the ambiguities of those policies, and its relationship with the Chinese. It could be. I think that does play a role. But there was something very, very sensitive that was touched upon. And in South Africa, right-wing groups, so-called civil society groups, we know that they have access to the Trump administration because they claim that. And if you listen to what Trump has said, it corresponds exactly with the genocide narrative that they sell and that they market, and that whites are victims of the democratic system and the constitution in South African legislation. So there's an overlay, there's an immediate overlay, it's an unquestionable overlay between what Trump has said and these right-wing groups have said. So I'm afraid I have to believe them when they say they have direct access to the Trump administration, and we see it in what Trump has been doing.
We do not have a genocide in South Africa.
This South African farmer wants to set the record straight. He wrote an open letter to US President Donald Trump after Trump offered Afrikaner farmers refugee status.
But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white.
The first group of 59 Afrikaners traveled to the US in early May. It has raised questions about why a group of white South Africans of Dutch and French descent are being granted refugee status when the Trump administration has stopped all other refugee programs. De Jager represents a large farmer organization which has members across South Africa. He says while it's true that farm murders are a major problem, Trump hasn't got the facts straight.
I wrote the letter to Trump because I feared that he might have a misunderstanding of what is going on here. We thanked him for having sympathy with our cause, but we also said, rather help us to make things better here. Help us to, within our lifetime, fix the problems we have here. And it's not only a race thing. Black farmers have similar problems too, and we need those problems also to be attended to.
Trump's genocide claims are a result of brutal attacks on farmers in South Africa. Most of the murders happened during armed robberies. There's a large memorial at Nampo, South Africa's largest farming expo, dedicated to farm murders. It contains around 2,800 names, going as far back as the 1970s. One thing that stands out about this event is the diversity. We've seen many Afrikaners, but we've also seen many black people in attendance. This memorial includes the names of black farmers who were victims of farm murders, debunking the idea that it's a crime that only affects white people. And those we spoke to say while they are concerned about farm murders, they don't want to leave South Africa.
If people want to do it, I think it's a good idea. It gives them an option out if they want. But I personally would not do it. This is my country. And that is something that Mandela fought for, is for freedom for all.
I cannot really say there's a genocide in South Africa. The only thing that is happening is it's a crime in general. You know, in every country, in every places, we do have crimes, irrespective of race, you know. So I think the genocide issue is exaggeration.
This is not true. It's a lie. There is no genocide of white South Africans. And let me make this clear for the benefit of those of you who are not South Africans. I'm a white South African, but I'm not an Afrikaner. I'm not a Boer, as people say. But even the Afrikaner people, the vast majority of Afrikaners don't want to leave this country. All Afrikaners and white people have a very good life in South Africa. We are doing fine. Thank you very much. We do not need to leave, and we do not need refugee status from Trump. So, why has Trump decided to grant refugee status to a group of Afrikaners? Well, he likes keeping in the media, but I think that it really has more to do with his friend Elon Musk, who we remember is a former South African. He has not been granted a license to operate his Starlink internet here in South Africa. And he has probably done this whole thing to provoke the bear, to create some kind of acrimonious situation and force the South African government to pay more attention to him. But let me just reiterate this. The group of South Africans who claim to be refugees from a white genocide, it's quite frankly an embarrassment.
Okay, welcome back. So we can tell that this particular press conference was plagued by lies, misinformation, and, just a total disrespect right there. Now, but this is all it takes to preserve to try and preserve the myth of white supremacy. Because really where this stems from exactly is the fact that Donald Trump cancels an intake of any kind of asylum seekers into the United States of America when he took office. But then few months after that move, which was against the law, he decides he needed to take up white South Africans and expedite the process, hasten and make it easy for them, give them citizenship and other benefits to white South Afrikaner farmers who are actually not having, not going through a genocide as what he really terms. And the world has been upset. The world has seen everything. The world is observing. Now, when I was watching this video with interest, I was actually making a few key points to what really was transpiring around this. And I would just love us to quickly go over them. Now, the allegations of a white genocide that Donald Trump accuses South African government of, permitting or committing against the white Afrikaner minorities in South Africa is a lie. He presented various materials you have seen there, and they have been refuted, including a video compilation featuring South African opposition figures like Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma to try and support his claims. However, these assertions lacked any credible kind of evidence and were strongly refuted by President Ramaphosa and the South African team. And this has been backed by, all other channels of information that haven't really had any kind of, uh, there's no any videos, any evidence showing an existing genocide in South Africa, be it of white people or of black people. Another thing, and this is exactly where the whole problem is the land reform concerns. So Trump criticized the South African government of the Land Expropriation Act that has been suggested in South Africa, in which allows for land redistribution without compensation, but under certain circumstances or certain conditions. He argued that this policy discriminates against white farmers. And in response, Ramaphosa had emphasized that legislation aims to address the injustices or historical land injustices in the country of South Africa that stem from the apartheid era and is implemented through constitutional and lawful means. I mean, the Expropriation Act, in which, this act aimed at trying to take back land that is lying there, that is not being put into use, that was actually grabbed during the apartheid era by a white Afrikaner minority, and of who control 70% of available privately owned land in South Africa, despite them being a minority of less than 10% in that country. And then another point I noted is the misuse, the use of misleading evidence. So during this meeting, Donald Trump displayed a photograph or photographs that he claimed depicted the burial of white farmers in South Africa. And I'm looking at the pictures right here. It was later revealed, and you've heard from the videos I just played, that the image originate from the DRC, that is Democratic Republic of the Congo, a country in Central Africa, and that they were not from South Africa, raising the concerns about the credibility of any evidence being presented right there by Donald Trump. And in one of my videos, I actually said that there are genocides happening in Africa, as a continent, but there is no particular genocide in South Africa at the moment. There is a genocide happening in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and we have a genocide happening in Sudan currently. So those are the people, and the pictures Donald Trump was displaying, falsely claiming to be South African, coming from the DRC, those are the people who, if he really cared about human, violation of human rights or human rights, then those are the people that ought to have been, assisted get the asylum in America. The people from DRC, people from Sudan, and not a privileged minority of white Afrikaner farmers that do not want to give back land because they are not used to equality. And then I also noted, of course, there is a diplomatic fallout, and this has, this has been obviously coming. So following that meeting, Trump announced the suspension of the U.S. aid to South Africa, and he did this way before this meeting, and offered asylum to white South African farmers, with the reports indicating approximately 50, I think 50 or 59 individuals had already relocated and settled in the US. And then additionally, the US declared that it would not participate in the upcoming G20 summit in South Africa, and cancelled certain assistance programs, including those related to HIV. But this was a long way from coming. So the meeting really underscored the complexities between the US and South Africa, and the US and the larger and any other person that would be having a certain kind of relationship with the US right now, particularly concerning sensitive issues like land reforms and minority rights. It also highlighted the challenges of navigating the diplomatic discourse in an era where misinformation can really rapidly influence international perceptions or perspectives. Really, what this comes down to is what Shahid Bolson had, said initially, that the US is thriving currently, especially under the leadership of Donald Trump. The US is thriving on false information, on misinformation, and anybody relating with the American government at this point must be really careful, because it's a selfish, individualistic regime that is not really aiming at objective, goals, meeting objective goals in which it's a win-win situation, but in which they're trying to anything within their power to just, have their interest first at the expense of anybody's else interest. I don't know what you really made out of this media conference and what you might have learned from this video. Please go ahead and share what you think about this. Leave me a comment, your opinion, in the comment section below. Like and share this video. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, if you want to support this channel, the easiest and free way to do that is by hitting that subscribe button. So until next time, I will be happy to see you in the next episode, in the next video, another time to learn on what is happening. So until next time, peace out.